Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of Fed Up with me, Fed Up Gaz, eternally fed up about something as always. Joining me today is Michael from, otherwise known as, yes, and I'm purposely concentrating now to get think. Come on, Mr. Linguist, Ristridi.
Yes.
I was like, breathe, concentrate. So, yeah, how is it going today, man? And thanks for joining us.
Yeah, my day was pretty chill. I just came home from work, got a little bit of daily commute, like 3 hours, not one way, two
Oh,
way. So there's not a lot of time for practicing guitar right now. But other than that, I'm pretty much fine. Yeah.
yeah, man. Well, that's good to hear, but that makes for a long day because you have to get up even earlier. Um,
Yeah.
and so I'm going to immediately ask about that then. So, man, how do you find that balance in trying to basically do everything you do, playing guitar, music with that schedule? Because that must be tough.
Yeah. Well, right now I don't really find a balance, but
Working on it.
the thing that really is priority number one right now is like work and for paying the bills, but
Yeah.
I don't really get much time for playing guitar right now, so
Wow.
I'm trying to work on that. Maybe take 1, 2 or 3 days during the week where I sit down and practice, but yeah, it's since I've started working, it's a lower priority, I would say,
Yeah.
just because I don't have that much energy anymore. Yeah.
Yeah, no doubt with that schedule. So I'd imagine the days as you said, you do get to practice, you do more of an intense focus on playing because, we were just chatting off air there. Um, I was saying about, I'm learning quite a few languages and I'm finding
Hmm.
it difficult to practice them. And I'm not complaining here, folks, because I'm constantly going back and forth scheduling with people. I probably do the bare minimum in one of them each day, just enough to try and get some kind of memory with it.
Hmm.
Um, I'm not sure when I'll get back to finding that balance with it myself, but but just being a guitarist, I mean, man, that is bad because like anyone who does any kind of art form, they say it's consistency, repetition as well to one, keep your skills to a good level and but then to grow from there as well. So
Hmm.
yeah, that's difficult for sure. I guess one positive from that, it gives your fingers a little more time to rest from hitting the fretboard. Um, there's
Yeah,
that.
true, but I don't know how you say it in English. There's
Yeah,
like a on your fingers. In German, you say Hornhaut. It's like when it gets a bit a bit harder, and
yeah,
when you practice a lot of guitar, I've noticed that when I play the solos that I like to play, that my fingers hurt earlier. For example, that's a
ah,
really a downside. So if I would play more, yeah, obviously that would go away, but yeah,
yeah.
right now
Yes,
not that possible.
yeah, yeah. Here, it's like conditioning your body, then, isn't it? Those like who do
Yeah.
combat sports, you get used to kind of getting the bruises, the your skin, your bones, get stronger as well. I'm not saying
Mm.
it still doesn't hurt because it's never the most pleasant experience, but yeah, your body does get used to it. So just to jump in to for those who maybe not have come across your guitar work before.
Mhm.
How did you get interested in playing guitar? And then also, who have been some of your favorite guitar players that you found an inspiration?
Yeah, well, my guitar journey pretty much started, let's say, a half year or a year later than when I started discovering Metallica. It
Yeah,
was about the age of 10 or 11, I think. And I've just heard and Kirk Hammett play guitar, and I thought, like, wow, you can play a guitar like
yeah,
this. I want to be like this.
Yeah.
Later on, of course, you realize that he's not the best guitar player in the world, but that's another topic. Yeah, then I went from my Metallica phase to a Megadeth phase, and I absolutely hated Metallica. And later, sorry.
Yeah. No, it's all right. I was going to say a lot of people say that who get into Megadeth after Metallica.
Yeah.
Before, yeah.
And now I'm like not even only metal. As long as it's good music, if there's intention behind it, if there's emotion behind it, I like listening to it. Of course, it's mostly metal still, but yeah, it's not one band certainly anymore. And well, my favorite guitar player, I would have to say Marty Friedman.
Yeah,
I really love his playing style, and he's been a huge influence. Also, studying those Megadeth songs, there's like, I don't know how many covers are on my YouTube channel from Megadeth, but at least half of them, I would say.
yeah.
So, Marty Friedman is my biggest influence.
Yeah, well, that's awesome, man. Those guitar covers you do and playthroughs, there's many of them. I was looking at them yesterday, and I thought, wow, there's literally pretty much everything and anything here, and it's refreshing to hear as well that you're open to other music. Like you said, okay, metal might be like your base, your favorite, but it doesn't mean that you don't appreciate or like other music. I'm the same myself. I'm very much a metal punk hardcore guy. Well, a bit of underground hip hop, actually, come to think of it. But outside of those genres, I do like other music, and it was why I wanted to make fedup open for all genres of music, even music I'm not interested in or even like. I thought it doesn't matter. I still want to talk to people because I just find it interesting, the whole creative process behind it. How people bring this music to life, what drives them, that stuff's just super engrossing for me. And it's nice to hear that you have that openness, because we can often, and I'm not going to say I've not gone through this myself, I've talked about it on other shows, where it can be, especially when you first get into extreme metal, this is the only real, this is law, rah, 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 death metal, rah, rah, rah. Look,
I think everyone goes through that phase at some point.
Yeah, I went through it when I was a DJ for a while, though, which is not the best place to go through that kind of phase. But anyway, I think once you start, I think opening up to other
cheers,
music.
By the way.
Yeah, cheers, man. Well, I've got the non-alcoholic coffee, but oh well, it'll do. And the strong water, but drinking coffee in the heat, sensible.
Yeah.
But yeah, I
had
think
like 5 coffees today, I think.
Yeah, well, you need it, man. You need it, man, with that schedule, and that's insane. I thought I was busy, and then just hearing that, I'm like, man, that's crazy for sure. No, but I think as well, being a musician, any musician that, in my opinion, isn't open to other influences and sources, you're closing yourself off to so much, because you hear something outside of the metal area and thinking, I like the way this bass is being dropped, this riff or whatever, something done a little bit different, and think, right, I'm going to take that. For example, like, funk music, the way they play bass in funk, even something like that. So no, I thought that's really refreshing to hear. And that's encouraging as well. So, I can hear, when I was listening to your guitar work before we get into discussing your albums, I can hear lots of prog in there, shred obviously, and the axe attacks, power metal as well, a bit of melodic black metal, some thrashy riffs. It's literally drawn from everywhere. So when you're practicing, Michael, and you're playing your songs, does all of this just come naturally, organically to you from what you've grown up listening to and what you listen to now, and it literally is just expressing itself freely?
Yeah, it's pretty much like that. When I'm writing something, it's not like I have a clear plan in my head and I say like I want to have it sound that way or that way. It's always a pretty much random process, I would say, and I just try around, and whatever comes out, and I say I like it, I'm just gonna save it, and maybe at some point it's gonna be a song. I would say that I do like almost every metal subgenre, some more, some less. I don't like metalcore that much, but I've already still opened up there a bit. um, but yeah, when I play, it's pretty much what comes out. By learning all of these cover songs, I definitely have grown also from ideas that others have.
Yeah, it's taking those positive influences, those tried
Mhm.
and tested methods, incorporating that in your own work, and that helps you grow. Like with anything in life, whatever someone is studying or any kind of work, it's I guess to put an mixed martial arts spin on this as well. It's taking right that works, so I'll integrate that into my training. I'll use
Mhm.
that. That will give me a stronger arsenal at my disposal, um, and then it helps you grow as well, especially with anything with increasing that knowledge. There should be no limits on music as far as I'm concerned. It's just endless and
Yeah.
limitless. So this I would imagine would be quite a tough one, or maybe not. What would be some of the favorite covers that you've featured on YouTube? Is the one that you really enjoyed, and also the second part of this question, is there anything that you haven't covered yet that you plan to?
My favorite cover when I go into the Megadeth direction probably was Hangar 18, because I still
Ooh,
think that is one of their best songs. It has all those crazy solos in it, and it's just melodic and fun.
yeah,
Um, for quite some time after I posted this cover, I still practice this song every week or so, because I wanted to keep the skills to play all the solos. Right now I'm not doing it anymore, but maybe I'm gonna come back to it.
yeah.
And for other songs, I always like doing the Corona covers. I don't know if that band is a name to you.
Who is that? Sorry,
Corona.
Coroner. Was that the band that? Are you on about the Pete Steele band before Type O Negative? Coroner,
No, no, no.
right?
Corona is a Switzerland band from Switzerland. They're making technical thrash metal.
Yes, now I know them. I've received a promo about them. And why was I thinking of Coroner, the Peter Steele band, and not Coroner? It's something else, but it was a band he was in before Type O Negative. Sorry about that. I just
No, it's okay.
I
It's
had a
not
brain
that
like
that
cloud.
known.
Yeah,
It's not that big of a name, but they are really
yeah,
I think one of the best thrash metal bands that are out there, and hugely underrated.
yeah.
So and what was the second part of the question? If I
Is there anything you might not have covered yet that you're planning to, like something you
yeah
thought, man, I've always wanted to do a cover of that, and I'm going to have to at some point?
yeah, it's actually I do prepare some covers. It's not like a linear process for me. It's I learn one or two riffs of a song that I really like, and that doesn't mean that it's going to end up as a full cover. And there's a few songs. One I definitely want to do is from Crypta, the new US band,
Hmm.
all girls.
Yeah,
Salvation is a killer song, and I definitely would like to do that. Yeah.
yeah, that would be pretty killer. Haven't got around to listening to that album in full, but that's the band, isn't it, who were formed from, which is one of the original members of Nervosa, if it's the one I'm thinking
Yes,
of.
exactly.
Yeah. Nervosa were killer. I remember Nervosa coming out. I got the demo literally when no one had heard of them before they
Hmm.
were signed, and used to spin it on my shows way back in the day. So yeah, awesome stuff. No man, but this is what's interesting as well, as with you doing these playthroughs. I like you're very interactive with people. You break it down. You say this is what I'm doing. It's very community driven. And I think that's a good thing, because that's encouraging anyone who's maybe never picked up a guitar before to learn.
Mm.
You really have this really kind of just this nice, quiet, just polite way of connecting with people as well. And that really comes across from those playthroughs that I've watched. So is like you said, with you playing your music, it's just completely natural, and it's a really nice quality, man. So you're obviously you're a sound engineer as well, and I was talking to some guys who were from, oh no, I forget live. They were German, but they were some distance from you, and now I forget the city. And one of them was a sound engineer as well, and he said there's loads and loads of sound engineers in Germany. He said there's many of them. So I just wondered, how did you become a sound engineer, and what do you enjoy about that work?
Well, how did I? Yeah, that's a pretty long story, actually. I'm gonna try to
share it. I'll drink the coffee whilst you tell it.
Okay, yeah. Well, it all started, of course, like this journey with playing the guitar, and then first time recording the guitar in Audacity, and then getting to know Reaper, and slowly getting into that, and then maybe producing some local bands, and then well, actually, I first studied computational linguistics after I finished school, and then after 4 semesters, I realized, well, yeah, I'm good at this, but it's not fun. And that's when I had a huge crisis. It was also connected to how do you call it in English? A love that is not returned. How do you say it?
Yeah, like oh man, is it unrequited love? Unconditional. Now I even though English is my first language, now I forget that.
Yeah, let's say I was in love and I didn't get love back. So it was a huge personal crisis for me. That was in 2017, not that far from now. And well, then I realized, I need to express this in some way. That's when my first 2 albums in 1 year came out in 2018. I released 2 of these albums, and that was more like from a depressive state of mind, and that's when I kind of started thinking about what I want to do, and sound engineering came to my mind. And then I moved away from my home place, moved to Darmstadt, which is near Frankfurt in Germany, and that's where I started. Sound and music production is the course called. And it's 3.5 years with an internship phase, and now I'm a Bachelor of Sound and Music Production, whatever that is. Yeah. And then I moved back to Bavaria, and now I'm working as a sound engineer in localization. So transforming the English movies and series into German language.
Oh, whoa. Man, that's interesting. God, man, that's so
my main
interesting.
job right now, yeah.
Yeah. Oh man, that is absolutely fascinating. Oh man, if I'd known that, I'd done a whole show just literally focusing on that. Dude, outside of music, I'm a huge movie nerd. It's one of the most common off-topic areas that keeps coming up on the show. If I don't mention it, somebody does. And I think, as I said in an email to you, for some reason, everybody just enjoys talking about movies. But I just think that must be so interesting, man. And fascinating as well. Yes, it's technical, but God, man, that's like a dream.
Yeah, it's super interesting. The thing is, even if you get to work on one show next week that I really like, I'm not gonna say which show. But I'm not allowed to say, actually. But the thing is, I was a fan before of that show, and now I'm working on it. It's like a dream, yeah. But on the other hand, you're like not recording one episode and then the next. It's most of the time it's like 4 episodes and then 1 character, so you don't get this stream of knowing what you're actually watching, because it's like always out of context. So parts out of context. So you don't. For example, I start at some episode 5 in the new how do you call it? Staffel in German. The new part of the series, like the first 10 episodes, then the next 10 episodes, and actually it's like, well, just difficult to really know what's going on. That's the downside of it.
Yeah, and you trying then to kind of do that translation process as well.
I'm not actually translating.
Oh, sorry.
So that's a part of other people. There are many people involved. You have the director, you have a sound engineer, which would be me in that case.
Right.
You have a cutter, and you have the speaker.
Wow. Yeah. Man, that's still so super interesting though, because it's so go on.
Yeah, and that's not actually everything. We at our company we have production managers, we have people who do scheduling. That is a huge part of it as well. They actually earn more than me. So the thing is that it's just a huge organizational process every time you are starting a new series and doing new episodes and having to check which actor has time to, like, you probably know it with doing these interviews. You have to be very flexible.
Yeah, you do. It's all flexible all the time, and I think with doing them live, and as I've just demonstrated, there's sometimes you can unintentionally jump in, as I did, and then I'm sorry, but it happens. It's organic. The same with scheduling. It literally, I can't say the name yet because I haven't got anything confirmed, but I will just say I'm trying to organize something with a band from New Zealand. And the time difference is really, really insane. So I'm trying to find a time where it's reasonable for them and where it's semi-reasonable, I guess, for me. But hey, man, if I say this to people, there's always a way. Hey, if I have to like start at 6 a.m. or something, if someone's out in that part of the world, I'll do it. But as you said, yeah, it's that constant flexibility. Adapting all the time, and I mean, you'll know this so well as well, that the schedule just never stays the same. I could send someone a schedule in an email saying, here's the latest, and I've sent that email and it's changed within 5 minutes already. It's always flowing, and then of course it's trying to keep on top of it as well. But I really, the nerd in me again finds this so appealing because you've got your music work, which we're obviously going to get into chatting about, then your sound engineer work as well. It's like you're surrounded by audio, all the time, both at work and then music. But it's nice because you've got the two different strands. You've got the musical side and then the film side, and I feel that's very complementary of each other as well. It's like, hey, I'm in this audio world, and I could be going in the wrong direction here, but it's making me wonder if you then get an increased perspective on how you want music to sound, the audio side, the audio side of it, clear, listenable for people, how their ear will process it, and then that must inspire your creativity as well. That's quite a nice tool to have at your disposal.
Yeah, it is, but I think that it's even more strange if you think about it. I think that the longer I'm doing this, like music and music production and audio production in general, of course you get a clearer picture of everything. But I also have the feeling that most of the time, the thing that really matters is what's in front of the microphone and not who's doing. In the case of music, not what the sound engineer is doing, because if you think about it, some of our favorite work did not always sound like things sound nowadays.
Yeah.
So I have a different perspective on that by now, but of course I still put in a lot of work and try to make it sound as good as possible. But it's a different perspective now for me as well.
Yeah, definitely. I've got to behave. I'm so tempted to ask the generic question of which has been one of your most favorite things you've worked on. Now discovering that this is what you do, obviously, in your day job, and I'm like, no, behave, because I appreciate you can't exactly say. So I just say that's awesome because I need to behave myself on there. So you mentioned, I know we have briefly mentioned this, both of us, off air as well, about mental health and I know your first two albums under the name Omega Point, Isolation, and The Descent.
Yeah.
And man, it's, even though that to me was more like melodic black metal focus, but you can still hear the prog, the shred, the technical parts in there as well, all fused together very nicely. I can still hear, and this is something that I tend to talk to you about with your work I'm pausing, Ristridi. I can hear that sadness, that subtle somber tone and emotion there, based on what you've obviously gone through. So did you kind of get to that point, a bit like myself, where you thought, I need to do something here to try and help me get through this and get this out there? And I know I'm not maybe putting this in the best of terms, but express it somehow within my music, and I guess just play and write naturally of how I'm feeling and put that out there. Was that what drove your creativity with those earlier releases?
I have to say that most of it was like only a vent. There was like this pressure inside of me and this sadness, how you say it, or this just being very depressed, and is actually something that is very, you could say, unnatural, because in most of the time in the animal world, these people are just like laid off. I'm very glad that humans found a way around it, and that they have we have like things like medication, stuff like that, which some people are of course critical of, but it's helped me a lot. And it was a vent, because I had something to say, and everything just kind of flowed outside of me. I had like so many ideas, and I just sat there and had something to do. And it's not been primarily to have other people. How did you call it?
I think I was saying, what did this? I was mentioning at first that this drive your creative process, and did it just naturally come out of you, which you've said in events.
It is, which is something that I really kind of miss now, because I have like the feeling that being in these extreme feelings, that you can become very creative in this. And now I'm just like, don't have that many ideas like I had back then, or that many cool ideas. And it's kind of bad, of course, because you don't feel good, but something cool comes out of it. I don't know. Sometimes you would wish that you are back in that state, but of course that's kind of stupid.
It's turning a negative into a positive, trying to use the badness in a good way. And I mean, again, I've said this on many shows, those traumatic experiences can sometimes drive the best creativity. If we look at COVID, for example, with music and film and novels, some of the things that have been written, all to do with like isolation, paranoia, everything that happened during that time. But the impression I'm getting, Michael, just from talking to you from this short time is, as you said, things come naturally to you. You vented that out. I wouldn't worry, man. You're obviously a very good musician. Something will emerge naturally, and I'm sure it will be very good. And this is a perfect segue into Dark Solstice, and I'm going to jump the order of the songs a little, because even on Dream Worlds, very good video as well, by the way, which I talked to on Dream Worlds. You're very welcome. On Dream Worlds, that sadness and that kind of, if you like, turning negatives into a positive from the early albums, you know, what that was based on, that is there. I mean, if you look at this, for example, you know, some of the lyrics are, I long for sleepless dreams, I abhor narcoleptic consciousness, dreamscapes that are repressed, like losing a battle outside space and time, a mind that is fragile, must dream to be fine, these dreamless worlds, these dreamless worlds shall show me where to roam, shall guide me tonight, for living is futile. Now, when I read that and I was listening to the song, and again, I'm not blowing the smoke up your butt or anything here, that resonated with me because that described perfectly my own state of mind often at the moment, and from what I've been dealing with myself these recent years. And I think anyone who has kind of gone through something similar will see that. It touches back to the early material. Not only is it a very beautiful song with the vocals, in the mix of clean and harsh, the same with the music. You've got your shred, your power and prog, but it paints this very beautiful landscape of someone perhaps wandering and trying to find the light again out of the dark, and a sense of peace and something that can just give them a way to escape this. And this is the only way I can describe it. I think you will definitely know where I'm going with this, but kind of this way, I just want to be out of this unseen imprisonment I'm in, which I can't seem to move out of. And yet sometimes I might take one step forward and then I'm dragged back into it. And it's really strange. It's like being paralyzed, and you don't want to be like that, and you want to move forward, but yet you just feel as if something's like a puppet master that you can't see. Something is controlling you, and you can't. It's like almost being zombified, and you just cannot move. So that I thought was a very powerful song, a lot of deep emotion in it. You can hear it both, lyrically, the vocals and the music as well. So very long-winded question and rant by myself, I guess. But you were saying you worry about that creativity not being there, and I said, well, that song's testament to it. That early material, okay, it might not be musically exactly the same, but that is there. I can hear it. I can hear the life experience that it's drawn from. And that always makes, I say it all the time on the show, that always makes some of the best music, or even novels, where somebody has gone through that, they've lived it, and then people can relate to it. A very beautiful song, and a very touching one, and it's got that sadness there as well. So I could be way off on all of this, but I just wondered what your thoughts were on Dreamless Worlds, and was it, related to anything that I've just said in that very, very long statement. Didn't mean it to be that long. But.
It's okay. I have to give credit where credit is due. I didn't write the lyrics to this song,
right?
But yeah, it's been a friend of mine who will hopefully join us in the concert this month. But it was a song that is about our world not having enough space for art, and for not enough. I mean, you could call it late capitalism. Just so much focus on work and getting things done, and not being able to maybe live your dream, or also being there's people that are, on the other hand, stuck in some dreams. They want to achieve something, and they can't because the circumstances are just not that supportive of this. And yeah, this song, I do have I do have an interpretation of who wrote the song, Max, but it's really hard to get the point across. I think it's just great that this feeling of this dreamy feeling kind of goes through this. How do you say it? Transports itself to the listener, and I'm really proud of that song, and I think it's come out beautifully. Yeah,
it is. It's a very beautiful song, very sad as well, but very beautiful. And it's, I mean, like I said, it's still got the proggy and nice shred. The female vocals really complement it as well. It just, everything seems to be woven together very nicely, and something that certainly hit me and thought, yeah, I can certainly relate to this really well. The video, what accompanies it, and I think when I was reading about it, you mentioned you had a little help from AI. So there's a good positive use of AI, because a lot of people are kind of worried about that at the moment, its impact on music and film. But the animation in that video, the way it's presented and looks, and you see somebody, asleep on the bed. And I thought that was a very, with what we've just been talking about, a very cool way to present it and show how, hey, somebody is wanting to find this kind of sense of peace. So I just wondered, how long did it take to, develop that video? And did you storyboard any of it, and then work with others, say, look, this is where I want to go. What do you think of this scene? Do we need to edit this here? Because I thought just the way it runs, it's a very fitting accompanying piece of animation for the song.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it took, I would say, how long did it take actually? If you put it all together, it would be probably like 6 hours, 7 hours, I would say. But I didn't do it in one piece. I had like 1 week, and in this week I did all of it. I had to try out the AIs. Actually, it's what I used is Midjourney and Kuiper. And Midjourney, everybody probably knows it by now. You type in a prompt what you want to see, and then you get out a picture, and then you can refine it. And that's basically what I did. I kind of imagined what I wanted to see in this particular part of the song. I first cut the song into 30-second or so segments, and then I put it into Kuiper, I think the AI was called, and it animated from the basic image, the base image. It animated it into moving forward or backward, or getting bigger, getting more close. And that was basically it. It was a rather straightforward process, but you had to first wrap your mind around it. It's not like having a real artist and telling him actually you do tell it what to do, but you just have to think a bit differently when you use it.
I think be worrying if it answers you one day in crazy sentient mode. No, I will not do this for you. But hopefully we're off that. That won't happen. No. The thing I noticed as well with the album, and again, I mean, this touches on some of the things that we've been saying. But this was just the impression I had and the impact it had on me. I thought the even the album cover, it's like emphasizing the theme that I noticed, and like I said, this quest to find the light, a sense of peace, comfort, trying to escape that restlessness and that sense of chaotic madness, like someone's playing with your soul as you sit there paralyzed, wondering, well, how am I going to escape this? And the cover, it's like you see that image of someone and the hands up, and it's like as if they're reaching into the distance, and you see And I like the way it's arranged because there's the light underneath the dark sky, and like there's a spear of a moon, for example, a dark moon or something like that is breaking there, and it's as if, yeah, you're in all this darkness, and you see darkness above you as well, but there is some light right in the far horizon, and yeah, you're reaching for it. You can't quite get there yet, but there is a path of light just beyond the dark on the surface as well. Like, take that first step and then you will get a little bit closer. So I thought the way, you know, and you know, you can obviously tell us all about this in a moment, but the way that cover was put together, very subtle, and then you've got your logo above it as well. So, you know, was that how you intended the cover to be presented, to have those subtle hints so people could look at that and say, yeah, man, this is, or am I just again getting so carried away with my imagination?
No, this is pretty much how it happened. I had this picture in my mind. It was not exactly that picture, but I did want somebody who reaches out to something he hopes to do something good. Actually, I wanted this album to focus more on the bright side and the more positive thoughts, actually, than I did with the previous two albums. I think you can hear it by the genre already. And it's, for me, it was like I talked to Daniel who painted this. He was a fellow student of mine, and well, we had like 2 or 3 drafts, and then this came out, and he worked on that on a bit longer. And it's a figure that is kind of dissolving, kind of disintegrating, and he or she sees a light in the distance and reaches for that light, and there's a long way until he will reach that light, but it is there. It is there. You have he or she has hope, you know, and maybe takes that first step, the second step, and at some point he will reach it.
Yeah. So it's inspiring. I can't even speak English again there. Oh man, the perils of going live sometimes. It's inspiring on that sense, because again, it's encouraging people through the music to say, hey, just keep taking these little strides. You know, you will get there. It might take a long journey, but every little step is a step closer. The music, though, you know, from the songs that I could hear on Bandcamp as well, particularly, and I'm sorry, I'm apologizing in advance for butchering the pronunciations here, Perihelion, that has a really good solo on axe attack near the end of the song. It made me think of, you know, bands like Gojira, Mastodon, Gorod, but mixed with your own shred and power metal as well. Again, I can hear that on Genesis before. So are there any tracks on this song where you're particularly very proud of some of those solos where you're like, man, yeah, I totally nailed it on this one. This really stands out. Or to be honest, you know, are you just happy with all of them, and you're like, look, I've got this out there. This is fine, you know.
I'm sorry if I have to disappoint you there, but
sorry.
I'm sorry if I have to disappoint you. I didn't play that solo. I also didn't play the solo on Genesis.
Yeah, very good though.
No, they're very good, and the reason why I asked other people to do it is because already with my first album, Omega Point, The Descent, and also with the second one, actually less with the second one, but mainly with the first one, I also gathered friends and people I knew to be good musicians and brought them all together, and also did this kind of producer role, fill out the producer role. And this is actually what I've gone into more on this album, because, first of all, I didn't have that much time to practice the solos anymore. So I was like, I just get somebody to do it. But of course, for Genesis, it was, for example, Justin Hombach, who was a really good player, also fellow YouTuber, the guitarist of Eternity's End with Christian Münzner, if you know that name, probably. And on Perihelion, it's Maximilian Pfaff from the band Don't Drop the Sword, who are actually the headliner on our release gig.
Nice.
And we just sat down and he improvised, and at some point we had a kind of an idea what direction we wanted to go in, and then he recorded it. And I think also that it's a very good solo on Perihelion.
Yeah, it complements the music. So I know now you've got this lineup of musicians around you. So do you feel the chemistry's right? You've got the right people that are working with you, and you all can, have input on the creativity with both music, lyrics, how you build everything together. Does it feel like you've got that positive energy with everybody?
Right now, I do. But the thing is that actually the people that played on the album, I moved away from them,
right,
in a different location, and they couldn't. They said that the distance was too big, which I understand. And what actually happened now is that I asked other friends of mine who I knew who are living a bit nearer to me, and we actually now have a different lineup than on the EP.
right.
But I'm very happy with the lineup because the rehearsals are going nicely, and we are having a lot of fun doing the songs, and also rehearsing the songs that were actually never meant to be played live. The Omega Point stuff originally was only thought of as studio stuff, studio project, and I'm very happy with it right now. It's a ton of fun.
Yeah, it'd be something wrong if you weren't happy with it when you put this album out there and I'm not very happy with it. No, that sucked. I didn't like that song. I'm not going to work with him anymore. I'm not going to work with her. It sucks. Don't buy it. I'm waiting. That maybe will happen one day. I'll get that kind of guest who'll have a meltdown. Oh, I know that. And I'll be like sat there like, oh man, awesome it would. Hopefully not. Hopefully I haven't cursed myself there. No, it's I just was curious, but that's good that you you're happy with the lineup you have now for obvious reasons. Have you started? I know the album, actually, before we even get on about talking about any music, so the album is due for release later this month, not too long away, on the 22nd. And you mentioned you have some shows coming up. So are you doing an album release party somewhere where people can come down and hear you play the album in full?
Yes, exactly. We have a release show on the day after that, on the Saturday.
Nice.
The release is 22nd of September, Friday. And on Saturday, we have the release concert in Freising, which is the town where I've spent classes, when I went back to school, when I went to school from class 10 to 13. And that's where we're going to make the concert, have the concert. And I hope that many people will come. It's only in a youth, how do you say it? Youth center, if you would translate it directly. It's probably not the right word, but fuck it. And we are, it's actually Don't Drop the Sword, who I've mentioned earlier, with Maxi on the guitars, and Makeba Demise, who do
I know them.
Very
Death Grand.
You know them?
Yeah. Not personally, but the music,
Yeah, I know Andreas personally, and he's a very fun dude, and they are going to do the opening, even though he's, of course, in his world, very much bigger than me. So if people in UK know him, right? And yes, it's just a very promises to be a very fun lineup. And the youth center where it's going to be, it's actually where I started my first band.
Wow.
I did not start it. I joined my first real band, which was called Reborn. And it never went that far, but that's where it all started, and I just wanted to be back at the place where it started.
Were they a thrash band by any chance, Reborn?
It was a bit thrashy, but not that classically thrashy.
The reason I ask, and I'm not just saying this, I think I actually know of them. I'm sure back on the radio shows, back on Brutal Existence Radio, I'm sure myself, I'm probably Metal Mark, I'm sure we played some Reborn. As soon as you said the name Reborn, I thought I know them, and I'm sure they were either a thrash
But
band
we didn't go that far. I don't know if it really was some international that it found its way to the UK, but maybe it was a different band called Reborn from the UK or something.
Yeah, maybe. But we used to play. Well, Mark still DJs. He does his show DIY now, but we played literally bands from everywhere, unsigned, underground demo. We certainly did not just focus on the upper tier from the metal scene or the underground. We actually focused more on the mid to lower tier to help the bands more for that reason. And I just, as soon as you said, I can't remember any band from here having the same name. So just be surprised. I am going to look later in my music collection because I've still got a lot of the demos and things that I picked up that I used to play. If it's there, and yeah, if it is,
that would be very cool if it is the right Reborn.
Yeah, let's hope so. I'll send you a hyper email if it is. Dude. You can sleep better. No. Thanks, guys.
No, very very fun thing that I just realized. I think it was yesterday that the new guitarist for Ristridi for the concert and hopefully the next concerts also is someone I lived with when I was doing my studies in Darmstadt for sound and music production.
Yeah.
And actually, in 2015, we had a shared gig. We didn't know of it beforehand. I just found the flyer yesterday, and it said Emmett and Sector. Sector was my band at that point in 2015. And we were both like, yeah, well, I guess we know each other a bit longer.
Isn't it crazy in this though, in music, whether it's in bands, promotions, radio, whatever, there's always somebody who knows someone, or you'll find you could have been at the same venue or some, like you just said, something like that. And then it's all of us always have that same reaction. Oh yeah, I know that dude. Oh, I remember that band. Or, yeah, that's good stuff. But excuse me, I'm gonna have a drink some water. I'm getting the revenge of the coffee. The revenge of the coffee. But I think that will be a good atmosphere at that show as well. It'll be nice, intimate, obviously fun. I like the range in genres as well, as you said, Macabre Demise, Death Grinding as yourselves, and then Don't Drop the Sword as well. So there's a good range there for people. It certainly won't be boring, and I think it will be a very high energy, fun gig, very sweaty one. But yeah, I think that'll be fun, man. I hope that one goes really well.
I just hope we won't fuck up Dream Worlds because it's a really hard song to play.
To be honest, from what I could hear, I'm not saying the other songs weren't complex, but Dream Worlds is very multi-layered. You can hear all those different ranges of influences and genres. It's a song that I think it's a song that's hard to pigeonhole, and I mean that in a good sense because it is so wide. It's really, somebody say who's just prog could listen to that and think, right, this is a prog song, but it's also got a power metal feel. Then it's like, no, there's lots of shred on here as well. So it's all over, but that's a good thing. Makes it interesting to listen to, and it's not boring to give the background effects. I'm struggling to open the water now. Yay. Professional studios. So what I'm guessing, one of the main themes behind this album is a bit like what we were saying on the earlier releases. But what else did you want to write in the lyrics for this album? And does, when you are playing your songs and you've got your riffs laid down on a song, does that then, can that change the writing process depending on what you've played? I've just asked you two
pretty much
questions.
always.
Yeah.
It's okay. It's actually the base is always the music, and I try to build. When I write the lyrics, I try to build it around it, but I'm not that good of a lyric writer, which is why I always ask people that are more talented in lyric writing to write the lyrics. But for example, on Genesis, it was only me, and it's most of the time it's one song on the album that I do personally. For the other ones, I just lack kind of the basic ability to create some kind of concept or lore in terms of lyrics, and that's why I always ask other people. But for me, it's mostly I write the music, and it's all very riff and melody oriented. And when I've got the lyrics, I can like tweak them and change it a bit so it fits better to the music. That's pretty much how I go about it.
So it's that, like you were saying, that natural sense of feeling what's manifesting from within you organically. I always like to ask people about that process in music. The majority of them say yes, we do the music first, but I have had some guests who say no, I write the lyrics and then I try and play something to go with it. So it's interesting to hear that people still have that different approach. The common denominator is more on the music, but still find that fascinating how people come up with all the riffs and everything and then write alongside it.
Do you actually play an instrument?
I don't know, but I say this a lot on shows. I did used to play guitar very badly, and then I got more into martial arts. You've probably seen the background. Okay. So I found I just didn't keep up practicing. And like the same with anything, it goes. And I found myself more interested in martial arts, in training, learning those. But I did do creative writing and screenwriting at uni. And that's probably, I'm going to use this as an excuse why I have such a natural visual imagination. I'm always mentioning this in every single show. Everything I see like a movie in my head, humor, jokes. When I was listening to your music, again, movies playing in my head. The same when you were giving me your answers today, I'm already seeing it visually in my mind, which they say is a good thing if you're a musician or a writer, something like that. But at times I think it can be problematic because you can be too cluttered, your mind can be overloaded, and then you've got all these ideas. Right? How am I going to get one of these ideas, say, typed up on a computer, and then I don't want to be a bit of this, bit of that, and then it doesn't really work, and that can be a problem as well at times. Sure, it's something you can relate to as well. It's like that. I've heard other musicians say this, they can be like in a subway station, they'll get inspired by something and they've got to get the phone out. Someone just mentioned this in another show, and it's like, I've got to put some kind of melody down and play like even if it's just and I'll go home and I'll play that. It's the same with writing, man. You can be in bed in the middle of the night and, you can wake up 4 or 5 a.m. or something and you get this idea comes in your mind and you're like, no, I'll wait. I'm up in a couple of hours, so I'll wait. And then it still keeps churning. And I'm going to have to get up and write a note down here or it's going to go. And it's like, please go away. Creative in the morning. Not yet. And then you're having to get up. And then sometimes, and I'm sure you've done this, then you can't go back to bed. It's literally, you've got to write everything out there and then, or since a musician play it. But I think with creativity, with music, writing, any form of creativity, as we've been saying today, I think it naturally manifests and is spontaneous. You've got no control on when that spark may hit you. You could be anywhere. and you've got to make those couple of notes or do something, or that could go. And it's amazing what can come from that idea. Or it might be something, well, I'm not going to use, say, this riff now, but I'm going to come back to this. Even if it's months later or a year later or even longer, I can use this for, you know, a song. There's one guy who come on the show and he'd kept some music for 10 years. And he said, and I found I was using this music 10 years later. He said, you know, been releasing music since then. So it's all the mood, timing, whatever you were in that frame of mind. So it's a very long answer for you. I told you I can talk for the world.
I can totally relate to that. It's happened to me also. I'm in bed and I have this idea. It even at some point it was in my dream, and that idea from the dream. You know, that was like the highest level of cool I had in that sense. Then I had to get up and play the riff into the computer. You know, record it, and sometimes also while or after showering. That's where the most ideas come from. Actually, if I wait until the morning or until when I had the idea a few hours later, for me it's gone. So I really have to go fast and just try to get it down in some way. I'm not the best singer, but sometimes I even try to sing riffs, and then I listen to it later, and I have no idea what I wanted to do.
There was something. That sounds like some of my assignments at uni, man. Like, there's a point in there somewhere. You find it. I don't know what it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's like I was saying, and I've read so much on this, man. Where you've got some of these really famous authors who've said they've had to literally get up there and then, and they've virtually wrote a full novel non-stop. They've just like gone in a room and they, you know, wrote for 17 hours or something non-stop, and there it is. And I'm like, man, that is just, well, one, that's an amazing feat within itself. But it's that feeling. If you feel right, this has to be out, and look, and those vocals, whether you're best vocals or not, that's kind of giving you. I'm kind of contradicting my point here. I was going to say giving you a sense of where you're going to go with that, or no, this won't work, or it just helps the whole process of it. And it's amazing, man. This is one of the things I love talking about with musicians and, well, anyone in the arts, writers, filmmakers as well, is that creative process. Yes, the common denominator with musicians is, right, we'll do the music first, but not everybody. We have had people on the show who have talked to, who've said, no, I write first. So there's still, everyone's process is, although there's a lot of common factors that we all use, it's still unique to them. And I find that amazing, how somebody can get inspired by something completely random or have a completely different method to it. For example, someone might say, right, I can only write by listening to this particular kind of music, and then, you know, I can then seem to write and play. So it's amazing stuff, man. It really is. And I'm getting excited again. I'm using excuse, it's a passion, man. That's why I end up talking so much. I did give Michael a warning before coming out. I said I can talk for the world. So I did warn him what I'm like. Like, come on. Probably thinking, God, yeah, you're not kidding, man. So
it's okay. I'm an introvert, so I really like it if other people are talking.
dude, I can't, because look, you know, as we were saying earlier, I always say to people, I'm a metal, punk, hardcore guy, and underground hip hop. Those are my bases, what I like. But at the end of the day, man, I'm just a music fan as a whole. I love music. And I would happily talk to anybody about their genre of music, even if I'm not a fan of it, because as I said earlier, I find it so interesting how people create and make the music, put it together. It's just so appealing to me, and it's always different, or there can be those common things that can bring us together from a completely different form of music. And you'd think, oh man, I wouldn't think they'd say do this in jazz or do this in R&B or something. And I'm like, no. There's all those similarities. So, hence why I ramble and ramble.
Yeah,
So
there's
this,
been like
yeah,
some moments where I had I don't know, some kind of hip hop song,
yeah,
some kind of rap song, and I thought like, wow, that's what's going on in the background there. That could have been also some kind of cool riff and stuff like that. And there's just so many things that are also translating from one genre into another genre. It's not, yeah, it's we're all, living in one world, and it's something that it's just art, whatever
exactly.
genre you like. Yeah.
Exactly. I mean, we're all never going to like the same thing, and there's nothing wrong with that. Um, but also, it's still good. Music is good music. Yes, we've got our favorites, but whatever it is, if it's good, it catches your ear, and you can hear what they're doing. I mean, you were saying now on the hip hop beats. I mean, you putting those guitar riffs on there, those could make like good intros, interludes, outro tracks to an album as well. And one, I'll tell you what I've been listening to a lot lately, actually, and this isn't even metal, although there's some crossover. I've actually been listening to a lot of dark synth, dark techno, and some of those artists they will use. I can tell a lot of them are metalheads as well because it's very influenced by death and black metal, particularly even with the song titles. And sometimes they're using like a riff sample and then they're putting beats on it. And some of that stuff, man, is really dark and sinister. And
You have to
very
send me some of that.
oh, dude, it's amazing. I hope to get somebody on from that scene one time who can tell us how do you put this music together, this structure of using the beats, even adding on riffs. Sometimes it's vocal, sometimes not. It's kind of like, in some aspects, a bit like an electronic score to a horror movie. And the closest, I guess, common analogy would be some of the music from the John Wick movies when they're in the clubs on the action sequences. It's sort of similar to that in some parts, but yeah, I've been actually getting into that music a lot recently, and it's the sci-fi nerd in me, and obviously I like bits of horror as well. I'm like, yep, I'm on this, and there's loads of like dystopian, futuristic themes, it's cyborgs and cyberpunk and all that kind of stuff, and I'm like, yeah, you've got me, I'm sold. I said to somebody yesterday, if you put a ninja on your album cover and then something with sci-fi, you don't even have to be good. I will buy your album. That'll be it. I'm sold. That's a way to get me. Like, yeah, it doesn't even matter if you're good. I'll do it. The Attack of the Riffing Space Ninjas or something. I'm like, yeah, I'm on that. So, getting back to your own music, because I've got really off topic. I'm going to come to one of your bands who, again, I'm probably going to butcher with the pronunciation. We'll get to that. But just returning to Dark Solstice for a moment. I know there's some, pre-orders available at the moment. There's the dual case CD with the booklet. I just wondered, and I did try and look earlier this week, and I couldn't find anything. Are you perhaps planning to do a vinyl release at some point? The reason I ask is because it's become very popular, and a lot of bands have been mentioning on the show that they are also going to do vinyl releases of the album. I just wondered if that's something you're going to do yourself.
Yeah, that's actually been something I've thought about, but actually a lot of the pressing facilities for vinyls are really overbooked,
Right,
and it probably wouldn't have been ready by the time I wanted it to release. And also, even having the CDs was a pretty big investment for me. I just put even though I've did almost everything myself I could, I already put over 1,000 or almost 2,000 euros into this album, and I hope it's gonna come back at some point. If I sell CDs, it's gonna come back, but who buys CDs anymore, right? It was probably a bad business decision, but I wanted a physical release, so now I've got it. Yeah, probably it would have been better to maybe make a vinyl release, but yeah, it's problematic because most of the pressing facilities are really overbooked.
Yeah, it's become increasingly popular, and it's been we've talked about it a lot on some of the past episodes on the show, how vinyl's kind of become this extra art piece for people to collect. Not always they're gonna say listen to the music on there. They're gonna hang out on the wall as a picture as well. And I think that's why, as you said, it's becoming so popular now. I'm not surprised those pressing plants are overbooked. Again, because the demand is there, and it's not cheap either. Vinyl is certainly not cheap. That's the other thing.
Yeah.
People forget it's super expensive, and especially with being even more demand for it now. Particularly just because of the fact the artwork that you can do on the vinyl as well. So, I mean, some of the stuff's absolutely amazing. It kind of reminds me like of the artwork, even seeing the skater scene to a point. People think, where's he going with this? But I've seen some that have like that urban graffiti on some of the vinyl, and I'm like, man, that's absolutely sick, So when you're playing your music, you obviously play, and even I know you're saying with what you've told me about your writing as well, but I get the sense, as I mentioned earlier, everything really does come from deeply within you. This seems to be what drives your whole creative process within your music and the songwriting as well. So are you going to take that forward into the next album, or would you perhaps look at drawing inspiration from somewhere else? I guess, like we've been saying, it depends on your feeling, your mood at the time, what say naturally happens.
Yeah, I actually have no idea right now what is going to come. I haven't
my
started
questions.
writing. Yeah. I haven't started writing new music yet. Now it's all about getting it ready for playing it live and stuff like that. With the limited time I have, this is what I focus on right now.
Yeah.
I hope that at some point my schedule will lighten up a bit, loosen up a bit, and that I maybe can return to writing some cool songs. But yeah, right now it's focus on the live setting and making this album maybe sell a few CDs and trying to get back a bit of the money. And yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Again, focus on. Yeah, totally. I just thought I'd ask because some people do. They've got one album wrote and then they've already wrote the next one there, or they've got half of it wrote. And I always find that amazing. Like one album's done, then the next one is, and I'm like, man, yeah. But yeah, let's hope people get out there, support it as much as they can. I'm just curious before I ask about one of your other bands. How long did Dark Solstice take to record and get everything together? Because the reason I'm asking, because it's such a very complex piece of music, it's drawn from those various subgenres, and it's a very thinking of the best way to put this. I want, rather than try and repeat myself, a very deep, personal, meaningful album as well. That's the sense that I got from what I could hear with Dark Solstice. So I'm just curious. So how long did it take to record and put everything together?
I would say that the first drafts were actually already starting to be created in the Omega Point time region, because of course also then I had some days where I felt better, and that's when I wrote kind of more into that direction. But we started recording in the winter of 2021, 2022. So in December 2021, we started recording the drums, and it actually took quite some time until we finished it, but not because we're bad musicians, but it's because everybody has a tight schedule, and you have to find the time to record properly. And actually, the last thing that was recorded was my girlfriend on Dream Worlds. She is singing on there, and that was this year at some point, a few months back. Yeah.
So those are those beautiful vocals I mentioned earlier.
Yeah.
They caught my ear. Very complimentary, and it added that. I felt it matched the somberness that I could hear in the song.
Yeah, you had the feeling. First it was only Max who also wrote the lyrics, singing, and the high harmony vocals who weren't that. They were okay, but they weren't that special, and I had the feeling that it needed some kind of different spice or still, and having her sing was definitely the right decision. Because it came out really cool, I think.
Yeah. Oh no, it did. As I say, that's what I noticed with that song. It's, definitely why I mentioned it. Just before I mentioned one of the bands I used to be into, I'm going to demonstrate why I should perhaps focus on relearning my mother tongue, English, before I switch to other languages when I butcher their name. But before I do that, they'll be so grateful for that. Yay! Someone what would be... I'm interested in your opinion on this. There's always that debate with guitarists. Is it best to be self-taught? Is it best to go and study music theory and also take guitar lessons? Is there any right way to do it, or is the way that maybe is there a faster way? I mean, because there's some people who can just pick up a guitar and they've got it naturally within them. There's talent and find they can just hear something and play it. And I mean, it must be wonderful to be able to do that. And yes, I know musicians do that as well, but I'm talking about, those people sometimes who just feel they've naturally got that gift. So where's your opinion on this? Is it better to be self-taught and just try and learn guitar from everything that you can hear? We've got the playthroughs on YouTube now. You can easily get the music sheets and notes and things to look at yourself. Or would you say, I think we were chatting about this earlier in the conversation, it's maybe, would you advise, if you can, to take the positives from everything, kind of do a combination, take some lessons, take some music theory, also be self-taught, so that you're not closing yourself off to any area? I know it's quite a long-winded question from myself again, but I'm really interested in your opinion on this, with you being a guitarist.
I'm pretty much a bad example at this, maybe, because I started with lessons on acoustic guitar. Then, even though I always wanted to play the electric guitar, which was a big mistake in the first step, I would say if you want to play electric guitar, you don't have to start with a flute. It's
harmonica.
Yeah, just start with start with what you want to do, and in the beginning a teacher can be very helpful, and if you're gonna study, that's also very fine. But I can't read music sheets. I can, of course, very slowly identify the notes and maybe find it on the fretboard, but I've started with tabs, like most guitarists nowadays probably, and at some point I realized that all the tabs were wrong in some kind of way, and then I shifted to learning it by ear, and that was probably the biggest step forward. The first year it was hard as fuck, because you are just lost in everything, but after the first year, you train your ear so much, and you start to gain so much, such a feeling for the guitar and the notes and the right notes, that that was really helpful. I have never studied music theory. I think it could be very helpful, but I've never gotten around to do it. So probably if you wanna be a really good guitarist, you should also study music theory.
Yeah, is there a case for, as well, then, I know this is difficult because you have such a busy schedule as well. Is it like with a lot of things, just what will help in the long run? Repetition, practice. The more you play, the more you do it. That will obviously keep your skills honed and improve you. You say that's just
Exactly.
yeah.
Yeah, it's all about practicing, having some kind of having fun with it is also very important. I would say if you don't want to practice, you shouldn't practice. Of course, you should always take care of the fun part.
Yeah.
But so you stay motivated because it's a game you win in the long run, and it is very important to just keep practicing. I haven't started with like the solos from Marty Friedman. I have started with very basic stuff also, and the first 3 years were very hard. And then actually, I was already playing the guitar for 3 years when I uploaded my first video in 2009,
Nice.
which was the Nothing Else Matters solo cover, which I still got on my YouTube channel. But it's not if I look at it now, it's not the best cover of this solo, obviously. And I would say, that's me at 3 years, and it's a long game, and you just have to keep practicing and try to keep at it.
Yeah, it's like with anything, isn't it? It's just time, repetition. But that's interesting in the sense people can look back and see where you started, some of your earlier covers, than when you are now. The same. I'm gonna use this as an excuse. Hopefully, the same way with chatting to people on here. There might be some of my questions or are horrendous. Hopefully not. But it's always open to learning. Improving, keep going forward. Again, I always think of when you see guitarists like yourself, where the guitar's like this extension of them. It's almost as if it's part of the soul, and it's singing to the audience when you see them live as well. And I'm going to sound so nerdy when I say this, or like I've been to a Buddhist monastery. You become one with the guitar, my son. But it does, I think, when they get to that standard. So I do wanted to ask you about your time with. Here we go, folks. It takes a pause, deep breath. AGATHODAIMON, which is probably absolutely horrible. When it's derived from.
It wasn't that bad.
Yeah, it wasn't that good either. You're being
no,
kind.
I would say AGATHODAIMON. This is the way I pronounced it. Yeah. It's not a TH like in English. It's only a T. Yeah.
I find that though, man, with words, and especially when I'm learning my language, in essence, if I hear it and then hear how it's pronounced, then I can say it. But sometimes when I try and say it myself, then I completely butcher it. But if I can hear it, I'm like, yeah. It's like bispeta. I used to say in English bispata instead of bispeta. So yeah.
But what you have to what's important is that AGATHODAIMON is not a German word, so you don't mix it up. It stems from some. Daimon is, I think, a Greek word for demon. Yeah. And daimon or agato, was it agat? No. I think the O wasn't in there, but it's AGATHODAIMON would mean benevolent demon. That's kind of the meaning.
Yeah. No, that is, you're right. That's the problem sometimes when you're learning more than one language. Is sometimes you can have a brain lapse and you'll get the words mixed up, or you'll think you're learning, think you're practicing the other language, and they're like, no, and it's horrible if that happens. If you're talking to someone that's their mother tongue, and you're just like, oh God, I've said this in, I know, Swedish, for example, and it's anyway, moving back to the music rather than my cultural desecration. So how did you get hooked up with those guys? I mean, I've got to admit, I hadn't heard of the band before, so this is why this is really fresh for me and maybe other people. I'm just curious how you got hooked up with them, if you would do maybe some music again with them in the future, and it must have been an enjoyable experience.
Have you or have you not heard of them?
I haven't heard of them, no.
You haven't heard of them,
No.
okay? Yeah, they've been rather popular in Romania.
Right.
Because one of the singers was from Romania and some Romanian texts in there. But yeah, to answer your question, I just posted online on a German platform called Backstage Pro. I don't know if it's international, and probably not yet. But before I moved to Darmstadt to study, I put in not an ad, but how do you say? I just put it in there that I'm searching for a band, and then the singer back at the time, Astral, it was his stage name. He wrote to me and said, "Yeah, let's meet up." And actually, the band was on hiatus or broken up from 2014 until 2020.
Right.
And actually, in 2018 is when we started coming together and reforming the band. Yeah. And that was basically the process.
Right. That's really interesting, man. And it's giving you the opportunity to do something different, explore some different themes as well. Because that's, I think, the good thing with metal as well is it's got that theatrical element and that escapism with it, which makes it fun and enjoyable. If it didn't, it wouldn't be much fun to just play guitar and then there's just play the notes. Oh, that's cool, man. Would you ever do anything with them again? Perhaps a collaborative release, based on your own solo work?
Yeah, I would. There was no bad blood when we parted our ways. It was like I said before, I moved back to Bavaria, and the distance was just too big, and that's the reason why we stopped this. Stopped playing together, let's say, and they got a new guitarist and a new singer, and actually now all the guitarist Max, the bassist Max, the drummer Oliver, and the singer Frank, that are on my EP now, they're all now members of AGATHODAIMON, so it's somehow still connected to each other.
Yeah, like sharing the musicians, isn't it? The members, I'll go and serve my time in AGATHODAIMON again.
Yeah.
Oh God, I'll get there eventually. That's really cool, man. Is there anything that you would like to say about the new album, Dark Solstice, that both of us may have forgotten in our random off-topicness and my long-winded rambles as well? Just that you feel that you really want people to know about the album. If is there anything like that, or obviously we want people to order the album and support it.
Yeah, that would be nice.
Yeah,
because the pre-orders are really really low, but I'm working on that. Let's hope it gets better. Yeah, no, I don't think there's anything that has to be said. I think most of it was covered, and I think most of it has been said, and I can't think of anything.
Oh, it's all right, man.
To say. Yeah.
Yeah, I always ask people if they want to do some final shouts, if there's anything we may have missed. Just if we, on the minute I hit end broadcast, and it's like, oh man, I forgot to say this or whatever. So honestly, man.
Yeah, maybe one shout out to Maxi Bierkel from Quiet Observer. He's also got his music projects. He's the one that always helped me writing the lyrics and wrote most of them himself, and which I could then tweak, and also check out his stuff if you're listening to this. It's pretty cool music. It's more into the folky kind of direction, like Wortruner or Heilung or things like this.
I love
the first album was more like a really proggy album, and the songs he now releases are more acoustic stuff and really more atmospherical, you could say.
Oh man, that's awesome. I'll have to check those out. I love Wardruna and I love High Lung as well. So yeah. Oh man, yeah, that's got my nerdy imagination fired up as well. Great stuff. Folks, I'll drop all the links for all of my where you can find Ristridi, and it'll all be in the description, folks. Please support the new album as well, Dark Solstice. You can go on Bandcamp, which is ristridibandcamp.com. There's all the releases are on there as well, and that's where you can pre-order Dark Solstice from. It's on the 22nd of this month, and don't forget they do have a live show on the 23rd as well, where you can hear the full album played from start to finish. There's Macabre Demise.
That's actually not true.
Right, okay.
We're gonna play only 3 songs. Still singles, but we're still gonna play stuff from Omega Point times. So
that still rocks, man. That still rocks. That's good stuff. Yeah. So you can hear a good range of everything, folks. So definitely get down to that one as well. I want to thank you for coming on, man. It's been interesting to chat to you, especially about the audio engineering work as well. That was super interesting to hear about. You're welcome on any time. Just get at me, man, if I can help you in any way. It's been a pleasure.
Yeah, thank you very much for inviting me on your video cast. I've enjoyed it for my first live interview. It's gone pretty well, I think.
Yeah.
It was fun. Thank you.
Oh, you're very welcome, man. Just my off-topic moments and random nerding and rambling, but yeah, I think people just go with it.
Yeah.
So, folks, I will be back tomorrow, and then we do have some guests coming up on the weekend as well. So don't forget to subscribe to stay up with everything that's happening with fedup. Musicians, bands, artists out there, if you would like to be featured, just contact me. fedup is open to all genres, so definitely reach out and we'll set something up. So, folks, have a good one. Take care. I'll see you on the next episode again. Thanks to Michael, and especially thanks for putting up with all my long-winded rambling. Greatly appreciated. And I'll see you on the next one, folks. Take care of each other.
Bye-bye.